Welcome, my name is John, and I'm just here to discuss movies on the YT. And today, we're talking about the Christmas Chronicles Part 2. Now, just a little background. I was a big fan of the first movie. I'm a Christmas fanatic, and while the first movie was derivative and familiar, I still think it did a great job. And so, does the sequel hold up? Well, let's discuss. So, the Christmas Chronicles Part 2 takes Kate and their soon-to-be, or I'm going to guess soon-to-be, stepbrother, Jack, and transports them into the North Pole. And this is all a part of Bell Schnickel's plan to get his revenge on Santa Claus. First, let's talk about the acting and the characters. And obviously, the big standout for both of these Christmas Chronicles movies is Kurt Russell as Santa Claus. Look, I grew up watching Tim Allen Santa Claus movies, and I love those movies. As movies, they might be better, but in terms of performance, I think Kurt Russell might be my favorite Santa Claus. I just love the charisma he brings to the character, especially when you get into like that jail scene in the first movie, the airport scene in this one. I'm just a big fan of the charisma he brings to the role. And this one also has Goldie Hawn, Kurt Russell's longtime partner, and she plays Mrs. Claus. Now, I think her chemistry and stuff in her scenes with Santa Claus and with Kurt Russell are really well done, but I didn't think her performance was that great. She didn't convince me that well when she was in scenes that didn't involve Kurt Russell. And then I think Kate, the main character, and that actress, I don't know her entire name. She's the main star of the movie, but I wasn't entirely sold on her performance, and Jack I thought was a little annoying, and then Teddy, I wish, as a story-wise and a fan of the first movie, I kind of wish Teddy was more involved in this movie. That being said, in the scenes he was in, I didn't find him very compelling, at least especially compared to the first movie, which I'm not going to say the performance in the first movie was spectacular or anything, but I think it was much better than what he gave in this movie. And now moving on to the visuals. Now this is kind of a very hit or miss category for this movie. I do think the cinematography is decent enough and it's shot well enough. Although I do think the Cancun scenes, I wasn't a big fan of the lighting. It felt like fake sunlight type of lighting or something. But the main thing with this movie is it uses a crap ton of CGI, and it's not always the best. That being said, I don't think this movie's particularly going for Oscar-winning special effects or anything. And I think for kind of a Netflix original VOD children's story, I think it does good enough with the special effects and the CGI, even though I do think they use maybe a little too much of it. And another thing that felt odd to me, it happens a couple of times, so it's maybe a little nitpicky for me to kind of criticize, but there are some weird shots that looked like reverse GoPro shots, but they were on CGI animals, and it was weird. Moving on to the story. I thought the story, it hit most of the emotional beats pretty well. That being said, I do think it was maybe a little too ambitious for its own good. It was trying to cram in a bunch of Christmas, Turkish and Icelandic mythology around Christmas and Santa Claus. And while some of them were nice touches, like the Yule Cat and Bell Schnickel and the Christmas star, it did feel like they were trying too much. And I also don't think you got the same type of dynamic with the characters, particularly Santa Claus, because he's stuck in the North Pole for most of this movie rather than being out in the open and in the real world, which is what I thought made the original great. That being said, I don't want it to be a carbon copy of the original, but I would have kind of liked to have seen Santa Claus interact more with the real world in this movie outside of just that airport scene, which I love. That being said, the airport scene, I don't think it was structured the best, because you have this great number in it, but then like halfway through it cuts to a deeply emotional scene and then cuts back. It should have like finished the Kurt Russell part of that scene and then cut to Kate's part of that scene, rather than splicing them together, rather than putting Kate's part in the middle of the Kurt Russell moment. That being said, I did really enjoy the airport stuff. And lastly, just talking about the sound in this movie, I thought it was executed fairly well outside of the very end. I didn't buy the sound editing of "Oh Christmas Tree" at the end. It felt really off to me. So overall, I don't think part 2 is as good as the first movie, but I do think it's a nice, fun family adventure. It's a nice Christmas movie that you can enjoy if you're a fanatic of Christmas like me. And I think it does a decent enough job with its heart and its characters. While it's not perfect, I would still give the Christmas Chronicles Part 2 a 3. Thanks for watching this video. If you've seen the Christmas Chronicles Part 2, go ahead and put your thoughts in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this video, if you enjoyed me, go ahead and smash that thumbs up icon and smash that subscribe button as well, and hit that notification bell as well, so you don't miss any more of my videos. And I will return next time when I see you again.